We begin with a Fox News alert. We're waiting for the White House briefing as we are also watching the situation surrounding our U.S. Embassy in Yemen and the violent chaos that's breaking wide open there. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Andrea Tenteros, Kimberly Guilfoyle, political commentator and national spokesperson for the Libre Initiative, Rachel Campos-Duffy. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Today's hashtag one lucky guy, Tucker Carlson, and he is outnumbered.
Hello,
Tucker.
Ladies.
Yeah. You get your own chant.
I woke up early this morning so looking forward to seeing you, and it's met all my
feeling
expectations.
unusual, TC. And we've only just begun.
We've only just begun.
Yes, we have a lot to get to.
In the words
and
of
we
Karen
don't stand
Carpenter.
for everybody.
I'm grateful for that.
All right.
Save the tape.
Okay, let's get moving. Two major developments in the Middle East to tell you about, and they could have a huge impact on America. While we stand by for word from the White House, as I mentioned, here's what we know. The American-backed government in Yemen abruptly collapsed overnight, and when we woke up this morning, Iran-backed Shiite rebels had taken the capital, plunging that country into chaos. And that could mean a greater risk of terrorists nesting there, because we already know Yemen is a breeding ground for the branch of al-Qaeda that claimed responsibility for the terror attacks in Paris. Meanwhile, King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, a key U.S. ally, has died. He passed away at the age of 90 after nearly 2 decades in power. And there are questions, for instance, could his death, coupled with the collapse of the government in Yemen, be kind of a worst-case scenario for the United States? Let's go to Leland Vittert, live at the White House with more. Leland?
Well, worst case is certainly what everyone is worried about in terms of national security. Harris, remember, Yemen has never exactly been a paragon of stability, but now it is really going from a very dangerous place to a totally lawless place with an Iranian-backed militia taking over there. The president and his cabinet have now left. The State Department says the embassy in Sana'a is still secure there, although they have pulled some U.S. personnel out, and there are right now U.S. Marines and Navy ships on standby in case there is a full evacuation needed. And you look at this in the larger scope of the Middle East and you realize just how quickly things in Yemen have changed. You're watching video from that very dangerous country right now. It's just a couple of months ago President Obama said that Yemen was proof of his success in foreign policy.
The Houthis in Yemen are Iranian-backed. Assad is completely under the control of Iran. You've got a problem in Iraq and Lebanon. President Obama's standing in the region is terrible. His policies are failing. If this is a success story in Yemen, I'd hate to see failure.
Iran is one problem. The other issue is the al-Qaeda presence inside Yemen, by far the most sophisticated branch of al-Qaeda, is there right now. And the question is, how are they going to be able to capitalize on the chaos inside that country? The original Yemeni president, who has been deposed, was very much a U.S. ally, allowed drone strikes, those kinds of things. That's gone. Just to Yemen's north, also a place right now of a lot of unrest. Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah there died, longtime U.S. ally who was very much used by the United States as a counterweight to Iran around the entire region. We're seeing the Iranian presence stepped up all around the Middle East. The question is, what will the Saudis now do? What will their new leader do, not only in terms of keeping stability in Yemen, where they gave a lot of funding to the Yemens? Also, the second question is, what happens to oil prices now that the Saudi king is going to change? What will he do with oil policy? And lastly, what's the cooperation going to look like with the United States from this new Saudi regime as they take over? Clearly, Harris, a lot of questions now. The White House briefing is scheduled to get underway in just a couple of minutes, and that's one of the real questions that's going to be put to Josh Earnest. How do you say that Yemen was a success a couple of months ago, and now look what's happened?
You have great questions for our discussion, in fact, Leland. Good to see you. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to take from Leland, because that second or third question he asked is an excellent one. Our relationship now with all the other countries in that region, now that Saudi King Abdullah is gone. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there are two lessons from both of these events today. The first is that the Arab Spring was a disaster for the United States and for the region. Sure. Chaos is the worst possible thing that can happen anywhere for us and for everyone. And so that calls into question our strategy in, say, Syria, which is to undermine the Assad regime there. To what end? Because their human rights record isn't as good as that in Santa Monica. I mean, like, it's pointless and destabilizing. And the second lesson is domestic oil energy production, oil and gas in this country, is more important than it ever has been.
It's also cheaper than it has been in a long time.
for the moment, but the administration has put roadblock after roadblock in the path of that, and why?
All right, so we heard Leland talking about, you know, and I mentioned it too, the nesting of terrorists there in al-Qaeda, but really one of the big focuses this morning isn't al-Qaeda at all. It's on Iran. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Liz Cheney had this to say. Watch.
With the collapse of the government in Yemen, got Iran basically in control of at least 4 capitals in the Middle East, of Sana'a, of Baghdad, of Damascus, and potentially Beirut.
Rachel, your thoughts?
Well, listen, I heard in the interview earlier that he mentioned, you know, the King Abdullah dying and what that impact is. I don't think there's a problem with him dying. That's been prepared. I mean, they've prepared for that. I think the biggest threat to Saudi Arabia is the administration negotiating with Iran without consulting them. And yes, there is great upheaval right now, and one has to ask, you know, is this just, you know, with his policies failing, is it just negligence and incompetence, or is it intentional negligence? I mean, he said he wanted to transform the United States of America. We see the Middle East transforming before our eyes. It's unrecognizable from what it was 6 years ago.
You know, Kimberly, it's interesting because the new King Salman, he's 79 years old. He's, you know, obviously heading up a key U.S. ally. He has promised, to quote him, that he will not be changing wholeheartedly a lot of the policies. But as Rachel has just pointed out, they've kind of been a firewall with Iran. I mean, they've been part of that coalition, however, silently or publicly.
Right. You can't underestimate the importance of that relationship as a key ally, a strategic ally in that region. And this is really a tragedy, what's happened over there. The United States has really held this up. Yemen is, we're winning the war against terror. And now $340 million later that we sunk into it, what do we have to show for it? We will probably lose our base there that we've been able to fly Predators out of and Reapers to make key strikes against ACAP in the region. This is a very crucial time in terms of the U.S. foreign policy and our national security to try and get some control over the situation, because right now, what successes can we point to?
Well, and we better be careful not to lose something else. I mean, now we're thinking about our U.S. Embassy there. We've got those ships waiting off the coast in the Red Sea, being prepared for any sort of evacuation. So we know we have to protect the assets that
Can I just say, no wonder the GOP doesn't want to trust the negotiations that the White House is doing with Iran when this is their version of success.
Well, and this is a really unique position for the Saudis, right? Because we consider them to be an ally. However, they have this long history of anti-Western Wahhabism that they spend millions and millions of dollars to fund. And so Tucker brings up a great point here. While we have all this energy production here at home, the Saudi kingdom has been also flooding the market, which is responsible for a lot of these low oil prices. So now more than ever, when these transitions of power happened, Tucker's right. U.S. energy independence is now more critical than ever. And our relationship and how we deal with the Saudis is also important, because think about it. The Saudis are one of the UN member states that doesn't recognize the state of Israel. What is the White House saying today? We're not going to meet with Israel. I mean, the Middle East is burning. It is a mess. And at some point, we start to have to ask the question, whose side are we on? All right. In the meantime, there's new questions about the chaos in Yemen and how it might impact President Obama's plan to close Guantanamo Bay. The Obama administration says that a ban on transferring detainees to the country has effectively been restored, and they're now looking for other options. Check this out. 115 citizens of Yemen have been held at Gitmo. 36 were transferred. 76 detainees remain. 3 died in custody. It isn't clear how many Yemenis who were transferred returned to the battlefield, but outgoing Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says that anyone who leaves Gitmo shouldn't be going to Yemen.
So the conditions in Yemen today aren't any different than what they have been, and we don't send them back to Yemen.
Okay, so Tucker, the administration saying right now, today, we're not going to be transferring any detainees. But do you really believe that this is going to last, and does it really matter? Because we've seen them transfer detainees to Qatar. We've seen them transfer detainees to Uruguay with no preconditions. They can transfer them to any country, and they could walk out the next day.
Well, we've sent more detainees to Yemen than any other country, because more detainees at Gitmo are from Yemen than any other country right now. Mike, this is a naive question, I guess. Everyone asks like it is when I ask it, but why don't we put the remaining detainees on trial? I've never understood that. I've asked that question to a lot of people, including a former U.S. Attorney General, who all sort of look at me in this pitying way.
So
like,
what's the answer?
You don't understand. Really, they sound like dangerous people to me who've committed crimes against the United States. Why not try them?
So
I trust our justices. I don't know the answer. But if the choice is between sending them to some country where they become, beyond our influence, we can't monitor them and they return to the battlefield,
every other
and putting them on trial, it's a no-brainer.
But Tucker, why are we releasing them? Why do we have to release them to begin with?
Well, I'm saying, why isn't the Obama position?
They're
If they
enemies
want
of
to
the
close
state.
Gitmo, he campaigned on it
hear what
twice.
you're
I get it. But why isn't that an option?
Well, it could
What is
be
the
an
answer?
option, but the point is we don't have a legal justification obligation to have to give them a trial. So why not hold them there? Why is our president resupplying terrorists?
Right.
He's resupplying jihad by letting people out that he doesn't have to release because he made a political promise
I agree.
to the left and on bended knee, and now he can't say the Yemen was a success. And now no matter how much more cash and prizes we throw at people to take these Yemenis back, who's going to want to do it? They even bombed one of the graduation ceremonies for the military officers there in Yemen, killing people. They are disseminating all the Yemeni intelligence officers, killing them systematically to wipe them out. And what's the result? Iran. Perfect timing. King Abdullah, dead. Iran.
Not just the timing. Iran-backed rebels helping in many of the cases, just like when they took the leader in Yemen hostage to get to where they are today.
But it is a good question, Rachel. Why isn't the administration that originally wanted to try these terrorists in downtown Manhattan, and we've seen, actually, to their credits, these federal courts have prosecuted a number of terrorists and convicted them successfully. Why isn't, as Tucker points out, the administration bringing them here and trying them as opposed to releasing them if we've seen some pretty good victories?
Because there's a political timetable that he wants to say that he did that. He made a promise. He's going to keep it. And also, we saw his delusion at the State of the Union address. This guy is describing a world that he wishes that it was like, and it's not the way he wishes it was. And all of us are going to be in danger because of this.
And this administration, Harris, has used Yemen as an example of a success. So again, this is showcasing that the administration has gotten something wrong, and not just something really important, the war against terror, profoundly wrong.
You know, it's interesting. Had the president given that speech 2 days later, there are a lot of things that wouldn't be in that speech.
Exactly.
And one
So
thing
true.
would have to be
right.
in that speech, and those are the words Al-Qaeda. Because he didn't mention them Tuesday night. But I don't know how you could get around it now that Yemen is falling.
And Lebanon is next. Watch, that's the next target.
Scary. That's scary.
It is the next target.
Boy, pray that's not true.
Well, don't worry. The president's with Glozell Green.
Yeah.
President Obama does want to reach out to younger audiences, as I mentioned, but is having a summit with Glozell, a YouTube star, The Answer. Some of the serious and nutty questions that the president got from that back and forth. Plus, he says he's no cheater, but that wasn't the big shocker at Tom Brady's news conference. What he said that may have you wondering just how serious the NFL is about Deflategate, just days ahead of the biggest game, the Super Bowl.
Recognize that swing? No turn, over the top, weight on the back foot. Now that spells disaster. Hi, I'm William Devane, and that was a disaster. But not half as bad as the market crash of 2008. The government bailed out the banks, but who bailed us out? I didn't get any money. Did anyone replace what you lost in your retirement? Lesson learned. Protect yourself now and transfer your existing IRAs to a Roslyn Capital Gold and Silver IRA. Don't let the disasters of the past cripple your future. Get a Gold and Silver IRA from Roslyn Capital. What's in your safe?
Call now to get a free gold kit, a free silver kit, and an IRA transfer kit. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
Okay, listen up. I'm reworking the menu. Mayo, corn dogs, you are so out of here.
The complete balanced nutrition of great tasting Ensure. 24 vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and 9 grams of protein.
Ensure, nutrition in charge.
I had periodontal disease, had lost 10 to 12 teeth, a lot of pain, a lot of hiding, a lot of shame. I didn't do a lot of smiling. That was life before Clear Choice.
At Clear Choice, we bring hope to millions who suffer from missing or failing teeth. with dental implants that look, feel, and function like strong, natural teeth.
Most people come into Clear Choice and say, can you really do that all in one day? Well, yeah, absolutely. And give you lifelong results you can be proud of.
Our doctors use precise technology in a warm, welcoming environment to create your new, healthy smile.
And I'm not afraid to smile anymore. And I have beautiful teeth.
You're never too old to invest in yourself. This is your opportunity to make a difference in your life.
Call today to schedule your free comprehensive consultation and ICAP 3D imaging scan. We'll even talk financing options while you're here. At Clear Choice, you're about to discover what you've been missing all these years. Call Clear Choice today.
Fiber One now makes cookies. Find them in the cookie aisle.
Following the stock market lately can drive you crazy. Will oil continue to drop? Will it recover? Will the market move up? Will it move down? Who knows? Learn about the crash-proof retirement system created by Phil Cannella. It guarantees that when the market goes up, you go up. And when it goes down, you stay even. Join Phil and me at an educational event in Ambler, PA at the William Penn Inn. Call now. Reserve your seat.
When you drive a Ford Focus, you're showing a greater car IQ. Get started easier with available intelligent access with push-button start. Park virtually hands-free with active park assist. Stay firmly planted to the road with advanced track electronic stability control. And with Sync with My Ford Touch, you reveal a level of intelligence the competition just can't match. Now you can lease a new Ford Focus for $119 a month for 24 months. That's just $119 a month. Drive car brilliance. Available only at your Quality Plus Ford store.
Welcome back to Outnumbered. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady says he's no cheater, and like his coach, Bill Belichick, says he did not tamper with the footballs that were found to be underinflated in the game that sent them to the Super Bowl. But it's his response to this question at a packed news conference that got our attention.
Has talked to you yet? The league has not spoken to you, contacted you, and gotten your side of the story on this yet?
No, but they may. I think that's their. I think that's obviously their choice.
Tom, do you find that odd, though? If they wanted, like Tom said, to put this behind us and get ready for the Super Bowl, they would have contacted you?
Sure. Yeah, they might. They might.
Tom, you're Tom.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
You know, but it's odd that they haven't.
So 4 days into a scandal overshadowing its biggest game, it appears that no one from the NFL has contacted the quarterback at the center of Deflategate. Meantime, current and former players weighing in. Former NFL quarterback Donovan McNabb says the buck stops with the Pats QB.
I would love to see Tom get up and hold himself accountable for this mistake that we've seen and has become a problem for the New England Patriots. Now, as the quarterback of the team, it's incumbent on you to be the guy to step in front and to hold yourself responsible. You know, you're the quarterback of the team. You're responsible all throughout the week to make sure the ball pressure is where you need it to be in order for you to get on game day and to be comfortable.
But Chicago Bears kicker Jay Feely, who's known Brady since their college days at Michigan, defending the three-time Super Bowl champ.
This is a guy that I've known for 20 years, back to 18 years old, and he's one of the greatest competitors I know. Regardless of football, any sport, anything he does, he wants to compete, but he's also a man of incredible integrity. And when I saw him say that he didn't cheat, and when he texted me and said, you know, I have nothing to hide, this is a guy that understood how important this press conference was for his legacy.
Is it hot in here or what? I don't know. Okay, Tucker, help us out here. What do you think?
Well, it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, the next time my car gets stolen or I lose my savings in a Nigerian email scam, I don't want the NFL investigating. They haven't called the guy. They haven't weighed the footballs from the Colts. I mean, like, they're not even trying. I mean, obviously, let's just, cut the nonsense. They don't want to know. There's a Super Bowl coming up. Yeah. Like, they don't want to get to the bottom of this.
There's too much invested in the big game.
Totally, but can they hold out until game day? I doubt it. They're going to come under a ton of pressure. The commissioner is, too. I feel for him, but he is.
Yeah. So what happens? So they go to the Super Bowl, say even the Patriots win? happened before. Afterwards, maybe they still continue the investigation. They decide perhaps, Andrea, they've got to do fines, lose a first-round draft pick. What do you think?
Fines won't matter to them, but they're going to have a tarnished record. They're going to be known as the team, if they win, by a lot of people that potentially cheated. And you know what? They would have so much more credibility if they didn't have a history of bad behavior, of spying on the Jets or freezing the Ravens' scoreboard.
Belichick.
All I have to say is I was having a really bad afternoon until that press conference yesterday. I mean, how much fun was that? And watching footage of that Chicago kicker. I mean, can we get more of that on the screen? I'm having a good time with all this.
Single. That's all you need. Some
women are loving this. I'm just being honest.